Hi everyone, it's Allison Kurak. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about how to succeed as a new TC with limited or no experience. I find that a lot of my subscribers and people watching my videos are people looking to get into the industry or people who have just started and they're new and they're kind of like, what do I do? Where do I start? You know, how can I be successful from day one? So I'm working on some more tangible content, hopefully for you guys, you know, in really starting from square one. But today I want to focus on some actions you can take as a new TC, you know, once you've started your business to really make a big impact and how to be successful. Okay, so I have 6 tips for you guys today for my new TC starting out. So tip number 1 is going to be having a positive attitude. This requires no money, this requires no experience. This is something you can immediately do off the bat, but I bring it up first because it's one of the biggest pieces of positive feedback I get from my agents. They're like, you're always so positive when we talk. Oh, you're just so positive, I love it. And I think the reason for this is because agents go through so many ups and downs every day in their business. You know, they have a lot of stress. If we lose a deal, maybe it's a couple $100. To them, it could be tens of thousands of dollars. And even more than that, they're the ones getting the late night calls and texts, the panic usually from the buyers, usually going through the agent first or the seller, whoever it is. You know, the really stressful situations usually aren't what we're dealing with, which is a benefit for us, but for them, it's, you know, just part of their reality. So having someone that when on their team like us, that when they talk to them, we are positive and upbeat and we're going to always find a solution and be positive about it, I think that can make a huge impact in just making a good impression with the agents and establishing a good relationship from the start. So having a positive attitude is tip number 1. Okay, tip number 2 kind of goes off what I was saying about, you know, we're going to find a solution with a positive attitude. We're always going to be willing to help, or over willingness to help, if that's a word. So, you know, maybe it's like, okay, what can we do? Maybe I'm new. I don't know exactly what to do or what something means. Maybe a document comes through. And so I'm like, hey, I'll just send it to the agent and be like, hey, I saw this come through. Do you want me to send this for signature? What can I do to help? Or is there anything I can do to help about it? Maybe you're checking in with the agent. Even if you don't have a set weekly call, maybe once a week you try to do a phone call with them and just be like, I just wanted to touch base on the transactions and see, you know, what I can do to help. So anytime something comes through, or even if it's kind of a slow period in the transaction, maybe just shoot them a text. Hey agent, is there anything I can do to help you today? Or is there anything I can do to help you this week? So, you know, not necessarily doing a bunch of extra tasks that are on our list, but just checking in with them, letting them know we're there, letting them know we're there to help and that we're willing to help with a positive attitude. So that's once again something that doesn't require experience, just being there, being willing to help at all times. Okay, let's go on to tip number 3, which is going to be having relatively quick response times. Once again, something that doesn't require experience, doesn't require money, doesn't even really require that much effort. So I preach a lot in my other videos. If you watch them, sometimes we have to set the notifications, the emails and the texts and the calls away, or we're just never going to get our work done and we're going to just be in this constant cycle. But we still want to have relatively quick response times. You know, we don't want to let something go hours or days without a response, especially if you're new and don't have as much going on. You don't want to set unrealistic expectations of responding to an email within 30 seconds, but having relatively quick response times, even if it's just like, hey, got it, let me check on that for you, or great, I'll work on this afternoon. So maybe not, you know, immediately doing stuff, but being relatively quick with our responses makes a really good impression and super easy. Anybody can do it, even if you don't have any experience. Okay, and piggybacking off that kind of goes into tip number 4, which is also about communication. And this is all about closing the loop. This is another piece of feedback I get from agents, usually negative about their old TC they're working with or something like that. They'll say, you know, they felt like they didn't close the loop. And what I mean by this is maybe you emailed the buyer or seller and the closing agent and you were like, hey, let's set up a time. And then no one responds, or you find out the buyer seller responded to just you. or just the closing agent, and then you didn't see it, and then so now the agent doesn't know, it's not on their calendar, or the closing agent never put it on their calendar, or something like that. So not just, okay, I sent the email scheduling closing, checked off my list, but really making sure, is this task fully complete? Did everybody get the information they need? Does everybody know the final result? So that's kind of an example of sometimes maybe you get in a situation where experience would play into that, but on something simple like scheduling a closing, like I explained, like really just making sure everybody knows. And I don't like being too repetitive, but if you didn't see something come through, you could always reach out to the one person and just be like, hey, just want to make sure you got this, or like, did we get this scheduled? Are we all good? And be like, yes, okay, perfect. Now we can check off our list. So fully closing the loop. Okay, tip number 5 is going to be, don't be afraid to defer to the agent when you need to. Even myself, I have to do this sometimes, because sometimes there's big decisions to be made in the transaction, or things that just are outside of our scope of work and responsibility and knowledge or experience. And so the agent is ultimately responsible for most of the transaction and the transaction at the end of the day, and we're just there to help. So if you ever don't know what to do totally, like, don't be afraid to defer to the agent and ask them for help. What I like to do to make this a little better, this kind of goes back into willingness to help, is figure out as much information about the problem or the situation as you can, and kind of give it to the agent like a little case study. Maybe it's like, hey, this person sent this email, we haven't gotten a response yet, I checked here, I didn't see any notes about it, or I checked this place and this place and this place, I couldn't find the document, do you know what they're referring to? So kind of just getting, here's what happened, here's who said what, here's what I did to look into it for you, here's all the information, let me know how you want to proceed. And that's something, like I said, even if you're experienced, you're definitely going to come across times when the agent has to you have to defer to them for a response or a decision or an action item, and just giving them any information you can, and then asking them, let me know how you want to proceed. That's, deferring to them if you don't know what to do, but also being really willing to help and making it kind of easier for them. Okay, and the last tip, number 6, is going to be, look for your resources and do some research. So, there's a ton of great resources out there. There's my videos. There's all other kinds of videos on YouTube about specific compliance systems, specific forms, how to do something, tips and tricks. There's so many resources, not just videos, but articles, or like something I like too is if you're within a brokerage compliance system, a lot of times they'll have like a compliance list of what they require, or some other information on how to handle things, processes, and you can pull that information for yourself. So if you have a little extra time, digging into things, what can I learn, what can I do? And also not being afraid to maybe connect with other TCs. I know there's some Facebook groups out there for like VAs and TCs. You could join and just see other people's ideas. When you're working in solidarity, even if you're experienced, you could hear an idea and be like, that's genius, why have I never thought of that? So really getting yourself out there, learning as much as you can, and finding other TCs to connect with. That's a huge tip to help you find more tips for your business. So those are my 6 tips. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you have any other questions, or you want me to dive deeper on any of the tips I spoke about in maybe their own video, please comment below and let me know, and we can get that working for you guys. So like I said, I feel like I have a lot of new followers who want to become a TC, or maybe they just started. So I hope you guys resonate with this video and find a piece of value in it. I think it's great, and even if you don't have the most experience, you can do a great job. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.